Hey everyone, Nicole, Russo, and Dan Illman welcoming you to this week's Oaks Countdown. Officially, all of the points races toward the Kentucky Oaks now in the books. As we had discussed last week, the Beaumont on Sunday at Keeneland going to have no impact on the field. There have been no defections otherwise as of the time of this taping. So let's review the situation a little bit. Here are the 14 fillies still currently guaranteed a spot in the Kentucky Oaks on their points. Should all go well with their training, should their connections, commit and move ahead to the Oaks. It's a high points cutoff looming. You see down there 50 at the end toward this 14 horse starting gate. And the fact that there have been no defections as of yet, really key for some horses, as you see on the bubble toward the Kentucky Oaks, which can list 4 also eligibles on the program, some really, talented fillies that we've talked about all spring in the likes of Wonder Wheel, Julia Shining, Hoosier Filly, and the emerging Punch Bowl.
Yes, as we take a look at the bubble horses, these are horses that would be contenders in this race based on past accomplishments, including, of course, Champion Wonder Wheel, Julia Shining, Who's Your Filly, Punch Bowl has a tremendous amount of upside. These are fillies that would all take money if they happen to get into the Kentucky Oaks. Maybe in the Kentucky Oaks of 2023, however, you might be looking for a price because this is an evenly matched group, as evenly matched a year as we've seen in a long time.
Absolutely. And, last week, I think made it even more wide open. We saw upsets in a couple of our Oaks points races. And as we said, last week was such a busy week. So let's go deeper into a couple of fillies who we didn't really get a chance to discuss much in depth last week. The Gazelle at Aqueduct gave us the winner, Promise Her America, by Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh jumping into the mix. The chestnut you see just taking the lead there. And then Gambling Girl, who closed on the far outside there to hit the board. But let's begin by discussing Promise Her America a little bit. Really interesting pedigree when I look at this filly. She's by Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh. She's from the immediate female family of 2-time Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner Ms. Direction.
There's a lot of class in this family, obviously, but I think there were some distance questions going into this race simply because of the speed on the damn side of the pedigree. Of course, American Pharaoh, a great stamina influence, and Promise Her America had no issues with the mile and an eighth in the Gazelle. They were throwing a lot at her in that race, Nicole. It was her first start against winners, her first start going 2 turns, and she had to do it without Lasix. And I liked the courage and grit that she showed in the stretch when it looked like she was going to be swarmed by 2 or 3 horses. She always found a little bit more. She's very lightly raced. She has a lot of upside potential. She did win that race with a comfortable trip off of a slow pace, and it will be a lot more difficult in Kentucky, but it looks like that she really is getting good at the right time.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a little bit the blend of stamina and speed in that pedigree. I also like that there's a blend of dirt and turf ability. American Pharaoh has sired grade 1 winners on both dirt and turf. You have the turf on the female side where you see Misdirection and others. And, we've long thought and long said it's not a bad thing to have a little bit of turf ability in your pedigree coming to Churchill Downs. We've seen turf type horses run very well on dirt here in the past.
And we've seen stamina-based horses do very, very well in this mile and an eighth in a big full field. Promise Her America, again, has the class, has the stamina, has a little bit of turf in her family. There are some things to like. She was a gigantic price. She was 26-1 when she won the Gazelle. And usually I don't like playing perfect trip horses when they're big prices, when they come back at shorter prices. But Promise Her America is going to be a very fair price in the Kentucky Oaks. I won't knock anyone that likes her.
Well, and we go from Promise Her America, who, as you just said, had, kind of a perfect trip and is a lightly raced filly with a lot of upside, to the runner-up, Gambling Girl. She has plenty of seasoning against top competition, and she kind of had it against her in the Gazelle, rallying into a slow pace. This is a filly who, has faced top horses last fall in the Demoiselle at Aqueduct. We'll see her, finishing third behind Julia Shining, who continues to be well regarded. And the runner-up that you'll see here, Affirmative Lady, went on to win the Gulfstream Oaks most recently and is headed toward the Kentucky Oaks as likely one of the top choices. So Gambling Girl still hasn't quite gotten it done, is going to need the right pace setup, but she's certainly been facing the cream of this crop.
You're right, and there should be pace. We'll take a look at her race in the Demoiselle, and she comes with a good run. She handles wet tracks, she handles dry tracks, and you really hit the nail on the head, Nicole, about her seasoning. She was an early 2-year-old. She made her career debut in June. She has not gotten a break. She now has 3 preps at 1 1/8 in her career. She just hasn't been able to seal the deal in her races. One must wonder how much upside is left after 9 starts, but her Buyer speed figures are slowly improving, and you can depend upon her to give an honest effort. Now, she is going to have to take a step forward in the Kentucky Oaks, but the pace scenario should be more to her liking. Big 14-horse field in Kentucky. I would have to think there's going to be an honest pace, and Gambling Girl is going to be a big price as well.
I absolutely think that we're going to see a more honest pace in the Kentucky Oaks that we've seen in some of the preps this year. In addition to the full field horses wanting to get good position in a relatively shorter run into the first turn, you're going to have a 6-figure crowd kind of amping these horses up a little bit. And sometimes you get somebody who kind of runs off a little bit out of the gate. We're going to start knowing a bit more about that field, about that pace setup, how the race might develop when they draw the post positions for the Oaks on May 1st. But in the meantime, you referenced the speed figures again. And next week, we're going to take a deeper dive into some of the field speed figures for this crop. And of course, we'll bring you any additional news or field updates as we lead closer and closer into the May 5th Kentucky Oaks.